Most people think wealth shows up as a big payday or a flashy lifestyle. But real wealth grows quietly, almost invisibly. If you're paying attention, there are subtle signs that your money is finally compounding, and you're closer to financial freedom than you think. Today, I'm going to show you 6 quiet signs your wealth is finally compounding. These are not motivational quotes. These are real indicators smart investors and financially disciplined people experience when their money starts working for them. If you notice even a few of these, it means you've moved from chasing money to building unstoppable momentum. Let's break them down. When your money starts growing faster than your effort, that's one of the clearest and quietest signs that compounding has kicked in. In the early stages of building wealth, every dollar is tied directly to your time, energy, and skills. You work more hours, take more clients, build more projects, or push harder in your job, and only then does your income rise. This phase is necessary, but it's linear. You trade time for money, and the ceiling is always limited by how many hours you can work and how much energy you have. Compounding changes that relationship. At first, it's subtle. You might notice your investment account growing even in months when you barely contribute. Dividends arrive without you doing anything. Interest accumulates on cash you parked in a high-yield account. A side business or digital product brings in sales while you're asleep. None of these moments feel dramatic, but together they signal that your money is starting to work on your behalf. This shift is powerful because it decouples income from direct effort. Instead of asking, "How many hours did I work this month?" you start asking, "How much did my assets produce?" Your focus moves from chasing active income to building and optimizing assets. Stocks, real estate, businesses, intellectual property, and even networks can all compound, producing more value over time with relatively less incremental effort. What makes this stage special is momentum. Compounding is slow at the beginning and then accelerates. The first 1,000 earned passively feels insignificant. The first 10,000 feels exciting. Then it snowballs. Returns generate more returns, which generate even more. Over long periods, the growth becomes exponential, and the curve starts to bend upward in a way that surprises most people who never tracked it closely. Emotionally, this phase feels different too. You feel less pressure to grind constantly because you know progress is happening in the background. You gain patience. You start valuing consistency over intensity. Small, regular contributions matter more than occasional bursts of effort. You become comfortable with boring routines like automatic investing, reinvesting dividends, and quietly letting time do the heavy lifting. There's also a mindset shift from consumption to ownership. Instead of spending every extra dollar on lifestyle upgrades, you see money as a tool that can produce more money. You think in terms of return on capital, not just return on time. You begin to ask smarter questions like, if I invest this today, what will it be worth in 10 or 20 years? That perspective is what separates people who stay stuck in the cycle of earning and spending from those who quietly build lasting wealth. When your money grows faster than your effort, it's not about luck or timing. It's the result of disciplined investing, patience, and systems that run without constant supervision. It's the point where wealth stops being something you chase and starts becoming something that compounds on its own. When your expenses feel smaller over time, it's a subtle but profound signal that your wealth is compounding. Early in financial growth, it often feels like every increase in income comes with a matching increase in spending. You earn more, so you upgrade your lifestyle, bigger apartment, fancier car, more dining out. This pattern, called lifestyle inflation, is what keeps many people from ever experiencing real wealth compounding. The money comes in, but it disappears just as quickly, leaving no room for assets to grow quietly in the background. As your wealth begins to compound, you notice a shift. Even as your income grows, your expenses do not grow at the same rate. You may still spend, but each dollar of income now represents more potential for investment and future growth. Your lifestyle remains comfortable, but it no longer consumes the majority of your earnings. This is not about frugality in a restrictive sense. It's about financial efficiency. You become mindful of where your money goes, and choices that once seemed essential may no longer hold the same appeal. The small adjustments you make, whether in housing, travel, or discretionary purchases, create a multiplier effect for your future net worth. The psychological impact of seeing expenses shrink relative to income is significant. you start to experience financial freedom in real terms. Each dollar saved or invested feels like a lever that can multiply over time, and that understanding changes your behavior. Instead of feeling stressed or anxious about spending, you feel empowered because you realize that your money is working for you, not the other way around. You begin to appreciate the difference between wants and needs, and the discipline you exercise in spending starts to reinforce the compounding process. This shift also affects decision-making in subtle ways. You no longer feel pressure to keep up with peers or societal expectations because your focus is on long-term results rather than immediate gratification. Buying an expensive gadget or indulging in a flashy lifestyle no longer feels urgent. You recognize that true wealth is built quietly, through strategic allocations and investments, rather than through visible consumption. The more your expenses stay in check while income grows, the more your money compounds without interference, accelerating your path toward financial independence. Another key aspect of this stage is automation. You set up systems that ensure saving and investing happen before discretionary spending. Automatic transfers to investment accounts, recurring contributions to retirement funds, and scheduled reinvestment of dividends become standard practice. These automated habits make your expenses feel smaller because your money is pre-allocated to growth before you even see it in your checking account. It's a practical way of letting compounding work without requiring constant mental effort or willpower. Over time, seeing expenses shrink relative to income creates a mindset shift. You begin to think in terms of efficiency rather than sacrifice. Spending becomes intentional, focused on experiences or assets that provide real value rather than fleeting pleasure. This quiet control over your lifestyle, combined with growing income, signals that your financial system is working effectively. It's a clear, often overlooked marker that your wealth is no longer just earned. It's compounding quietly and steadily behind the scenes, setting the stage for long-term security and freedom. When you start thinking long-term without stress, it reflects a deep shift in how your relationship with money and wealth operates. In the early stages of financial growth, it's easy to be caught up in short-term pressures. Market fluctuations, bills, unexpected expenses, and immediate opportunities can feel urgent, and they often dictate your decisions. You check your accounts constantly, worry about the next paycheck, and measure success in weeks or months. This mindset keeps most people trapped in reactive behavior, always chasing results without building lasting financial stability. As your wealth begins to compound, your perspective changes naturally. You start planning in years and decades rather than days or months. Your investments are no longer just vehicles for quick gains but tools that grow steadily over time. Market dips no longer trigger panic because you understand that time is a critical asset. You recognize that compounding needs patience, and that the most effective financial moves are the ones that unfold slowly and consistently. The stress that once accompanied financial decision-making diminishes because your focus shifts from short-term outcomes to long-term strategy. This long-term thinking also changes the way you evaluate risk. You become less influenced by noise in the market or social pressures, and more guided by principles that have proven effective over time. You weigh opportunities based on their potential to contribute to growth over years, not just immediate gratification. Your choices are guided by an understanding of cycles, patterns, and probability rather than impulsive reactions. This perspective allows you to stay the course even during uncertain periods, which is essential for wealth compounding to reach its full potential. Emotionally, thinking long-term without stress fosters confidence and patience. You begin to understand the value of delayed gratification and how small, consistent actions accumulate into significant results. The anxiety of not having enough diminishes because you trust the systems you've put in place, whether it's automated investing, recurring contributions to retirement funds, or diversified portfolios. You no longer chase every shiny opportunity or constantly compare yourself to others, because your eyes are on the trajectory of your own financial journey. This mental clarity reinforces habits that support compounding and prevents the mistakes that derail most people early on. Time becomes your ally rather than a source of pressure. You can sit through market cycles, economic downturns, and periods of stagnation with confidence because you know that growth, while quiet, is happening behind the scenes. This perspective allows you to make decisions with intention rather than reaction. You allocate capital, plan investments, and structure your finances in ways that are resilient to short-term volatility. The compounding effect accelerates because your decisions are guided by patience and consistency, not fear or urgency. Ultimately, thinking long-term without stress is both a mindset and a practice. It demonstrates that your wealth is no longer dependent on immediate results or constant effort. It shows that your financial foundation is strong enough to allow time to work its magic, letting your assets grow quietly while you focus on strategy, growth, and life beyond money. This calm, disciplined outlook is a hallmark of those whose wealth is truly compounding and sets the stage for lasting financial independence. When your savings rate keeps increasing, it's a clear indicator that your wealth is quietly compounding. Early in the financial journey, saving can feel like a chore. You might put aside small amounts irregularly, often interrupted by unexpected expenses or lifestyle temptations. The habit is inconsistent because it competes with immediate desires and the pressure to spend in the moment. At this stage, even when you save, the amounts are usually too small to generate meaningful compounding, and it often feels like progress is slow or invisible. As you gain financial awareness and discipline, something shifts. Saving becomes a natural, almost automatic process, and the rate at which you set aside money gradually increases without creating tension or sacrifice. You no longer think of saving as giving something up. Instead, you view it as a powerful tool for creating future wealth. The more you save, the more opportunities you have to invest, and the more your money begins to grow on its own. Each incremental increase in your savings rate amplifies the effect of compounding because the base amount feeding growth expands steadily over time. This stage is marked by habits and systems that make increasing your savings feel effortless. Automatic transfers from your checking to investment accounts, recurring contributions to retirement funds, and reinvestment of dividends all reduce the mental load of managing money. You don't have to constantly remind yourself to save because the process is built into your financial life. Your discipline becomes structural rather than forced, which is crucial for sustaining long-term growth. Over time, even small adjustments in your savings behavior compound into significant advantages, producing results far beyond what sporadic efforts could achieve. Emotionally, an increasing savings rate reinforces a sense of control and confidence. You realize that building wealth is less about luck and more about consistency and discipline. The act of saving grows from a one-time effort into a lifestyle, where you are constantly prioritizing your future self over immediate gratification. This mindset shift is profound because it changes the way you interact with money. You start to view every financial decision through the lens of its impact on your long-term savings and compounding potential. Spending becomes intentional, and every dollar not saved is a conscious choice rather than a default behavior. An increasing savings rate also allows you to take advantage of opportunities that arise unexpectedly. When you have a growing pool of capital, you can invest in assets, seize strategic financial moves, or weather market downturns without panic. This flexibility is critical because it enables your money to continue working for you even when external circumstances are uncertain. Compounding thrives in an environment where contributions are consistent and uninterrupted, and increasing savings provides exactly that foundation. Over time, the habit of continually increasing what you save creates a feedback loop. The more you save, the more you invest, the more compounding accelerates, and the more motivated you become to maintain or even raise your savings rate. This silent momentum is one of the most reliable markers that your wealth is no longer static. It is actively growing, quietly multiplying, and building a foundation for long-term financial independence. When your net worth grows even in quiet months, it's one of the clearest signs that compounding is working behind the scenes. Early in your financial journey, growth is often tied directly to effort and activity. You work a job, complete projects, or sell products, and your net worth fluctuates based on immediate actions. Some months may feel successful, while others feel stagnant or even negative if unexpected expenses arise. At this stage, wealth accumulation can feel fragile because it depends heavily on external factors and daily effort. As compounding takes hold, the dynamic changes. You start to notice that even when life feels ordinary, your numbers quietly move upward. Investments gain value, dividends accumulate, and interest grows without any extra effort on your part. Assets you acquired months or years ago continue to generate returns, slowly but steadily increasing your net worth. This is a subtle but profound shift. Your financial progress no longer depends solely on new income or active work, but on systems and strategies that let your money generate more money on its own. This quiet growth has both practical and psychological benefits. Practically, it means that the groundwork you've laid, through savings, investments, and disciplined money habits, is producing tangible results. You no longer need to rely on sporadic bursts of effort or high-risk ventures to see progress. Even when you're not actively adding to your accounts, compounding ensures that your wealth continues to move forward. This consistency reduces anxiety and builds confidence, reinforcing the habits that initially created the growth. Psychologically, seeing net worth rise without constant input changes the way you think about money. You start to trust the systems you've put in place and focus on long-term results rather than short-term fluctuations. You learn to measure success differently. A quiet month no longer feels like a setback, because you understand that growth is cumulative and that the effects of compounding are often invisible in the short term. You develop patience and discipline, recognizing that meaningful wealth rarely appears overnight. This stage also shifts your mindset around opportunity. When your net worth grows steadily in the background, you are better positioned to take calculated risks. You can invest in new ventures, diversify into different asset classes, or reinvest returns without jeopardizing your stability. You gain the freedom to make strategic decisions rather than reactive ones. Compounding not only increases your wealth, but also expands your capacity to leverage it effectively. Ultimately, seeing your net worth grow quietly is proof that you have created financial structures capable of self-propulsion. It signals that your money is no longer entirely dependent on your immediate actions or decisions. The growth may not be flashy or dramatic, but it is consistent and cumulative, building momentum over time. This steady, almost invisible progression is one of the most reliable indicators that your financial foundation is solid and that your wealth is genuinely compounding, setting the stage for long-term security and independence. When money decisions feel strategic rather than emotional, it is a strong signal that your wealth is quietly compounding. Early in the financial journey, decisions about money are often driven by immediate feelings: fear, excitement, envy, or impatience. You might buy into trends, chase high-risk investments without fully understanding them, or make impulse purchases to satisfy a short-term desire. At this stage, the outcomes of financial choices can be unpredictable, and growth is often inconsistent. Emotional decision-making keeps your progress tied to reaction rather than strategy, and it prevents the compounding effect from reaching its full potential. As your wealth begins to compound, your approach to money changes profoundly. Decisions are no longer made on a whim or purely in response to external pressures. Instead, you begin to assess choices through a lens of analysis, strategy, and long-term impact. Every investment, purchase, or financial move is considered for its potential to generate returns over time and for how it aligns with your broader financial goals. You weigh risks carefully, evaluate alternatives, and anticipate consequences. This mindset transforms how you interact with money, shifting from reactive to proactive behavior. Strategic decision-making also involves patience and discipline. You no longer feel the need to act immediately just because an opportunity exists. You take the time to research, plan, and evaluate, understanding that timing and context matter just as much as the choice itself. Emotional impulses no longer dictate your actions, and this allows your money to grow steadily without unnecessary setbacks caused by hasty or poorly considered decisions. Over time, this disciplined approach reinforces compounding, as returns are optimized and mistakes are minimized. Another key aspect of strategic thinking is the ability to see the bigger picture. You begin to consider not only the immediate effects of financial decisions, but also their long-term implications. Taxes, fees, opportunity costs, and the potential for reinvestment all factor into your choices. You understand that a seemingly small adjustment today, whether in spending habits, investment allocation, or risk management, can have a significant compounding effect over years or decades. This awareness allows your money to work more efficiently and accelerates wealth growth. Emotionally, moving from impulsive to strategic decisions creates confidence and reduces stress. You trust your process and systems because they are designed for long-term success, not short-term satisfaction. Market fluctuations, economic news, or peer pressure have less influence on your behavior because you are guided by principles rather than emotions. This calm, rational mindset enables you to stay consistent and disciplined, which is essential for letting compounding do its work quietly over time. Ultimately, when financial decisions become strategic rather than emotional, it reflects maturity, control, and understanding. Your wealth is no longer just the product of luck or hard work alone. It is the outcome of thoughtful planning, consistent execution, and intelligent allocation. This approach ensures that your money grows systematically, quietly compounding over time and laying the foundation for long-term security, independence, and financial freedom. As we wrap up, it's important to recognize that wealth rarely announces itself with fireworks. The real indicators of compounding are quiet, subtle, and often easy to overlook if you're only focused on immediate results. Each of the signs we've discussed, the way your money grows faster than your effort, the shrinking impact of your expenses, your long-term thinking without stress, a steadily increasing savings rate, net worth growth even in ordinary months, and making decisions strategically rather than emotionally, are evidence that your financial system is working for you, not the other way around. What makes this stage so powerful is that it represents freedom. You're no longer trading time for money or reacting impulsively to every financial curveball. Instead, your assets are producing results on their own, quietly building momentum while you focus on bigger goals. This is the difference between working for wealth and letting wealth work for you. It's the point where discipline, patience, and consistency intersect to create exponential growth over time. Now, the real advantage of recognizing these signs is the clarity it brings to your actions. When you see that compounding is in motion, every decision becomes more intentional. You invest with purpose, you save without strain, and you spend with awareness. You begin to trust the process and allow time to do what it does best: multiply your efforts and assets in ways that are often invisible in the short term but unmistakable over years. Remember, compounding is not magic, but it feels almost magical when it works quietly in your favor. It rewards consistency, patience, and smart decision-making. The sooner you identify these signs in your own financial life, the sooner you can double down on the habits and strategies that accelerate growth. Keep building, stay disciplined, and trust the process, because real wealth is rarely loud, but it is unstoppable when it is quietly compounding.